So I wanted to make this quick video to quickly introduce this project that I was working on for the past 2 weeks. And it started on December 13th when I wrote a recap, or I just wrote a journal entry while I was on a train to my friend Trevor's event. And it was what I usually do in December, which is kind of reflect on the year. You know, I write journal entries, which are recaps. But I had about an hour to write this journal entry, and I didn't read it until maybe a few days later. But when I read it, I had realized that it was profoundly different than anything that I've written in the past. And since I've been so immersed in trying to put together this creator's journey and doing all my journal readings recently, I'm familiar with, kind of the concept of my journals, which is a lot of bashing, a lot of, there's a lot of good, but there's also a lot of, just always telling myself that I need to be better, do this better, do that, but this one that I wrote just wasn't like that. So I just posted it on Instagram, and because I was just excited about it, but really what that did was it sparked the idea to create this mini series called Reflectionzzz. And I actually went back and compiled all of the journal entries that I wrote in the month of December for the past 7 years. And I went through all of them, and I reflected on them, because I knew that I had passed the test, or I had unlocked something with how uplifting and reassuring or patting on the back, whatever you call that, but appreciating oneself, the journal entry I wrote this month was. So anyways, I wanted to quickly introduce what Reflectionzzz was, and if you guys have any interest in taking a look at it, show you how you can do that. And ultimately, my reason for doing this was I'm following my intuition, but I feel that someone can learn from the past 7 years in this profound lesson that I received, because it's not a lesson that's subject to me or is solely for me. No, it's a lesson that I could imagine a lot of us go through, and I'm trying to tell it in a way so that you guys can, or whoever this message resonates with, can benefit from the lesson that took me 7 years to learn. So I just wanted to quickly preface that. I'm going to show you guys just a few things, and then you'll be able to click a link and see all this stuff. Okay, so it starts, the concept is reflections, right? Looking back. But it started with this guy who told me last year in October 2021, he was someone who lived in an apartment with me, or apartment complex building with me. We were in a coffee shop, and he told me, we were both talking about journaling, and he goes, if you want to see God, just look back. And that's where we're going to start with, but that's how the whole reflections concept came back, because I feel like me looking back gave me access to be able to speak with God, which is really just yourself. So yeah.
I want to share something really quick, not an entry, but something that just came to my mind that I learned from some guy. He said it to me in a coffee shop around here. And it's true. We were talking about journaling, and he journals a lot too. I told him, this is before, maybe about a month and a half ago. I told him I had the idea to do this, and then, a lot of stuff that happened to me that I wrote in my journal and whatever. And he was like, yeah, you know what? He said,
don't know why that keeps happening, but he said, if you want to see God, look back. Okay. Next.
Kind of preface and introduce this concept called Reflectionzzz and this story behind this reflectionary period that I'm trying to put together in the form of what's most comparable is like a mixtape. Because first off, like, I want to make the story cool. And the entire time, like, music and hip hop and all my favorite songs were kind of like the serum to get me through the process. So I want to stick to those. And so I want to make the story kind of similar. So in that way, this 10 video approximately series, I'm going to try to format in like a mixtape where the concept is, now I've been journaling for going on like since 2014. So, 8+ years, but like on the spiritual way, like 6 years. And every year I've written journal entries in the month of December, and a lot of them were recap entries, and recapping the year, recapping the lessons, recapping the commitments, recapping the mind state. And now, finally, with 5 years of data, when I got to the 6th year, I collected enough data to have enough like real scientific evidence of the fact that I was in a feedback loop, and I was consistently doing to myself year after year the same exact thing. And to a point, it got actually like, it's like if you realize that someone you love is insane, when you get to look at their life from a whole outside view, you start to feel bad. Like, imagine someone that's always ruining relationships, but it's them, and they're always making excuses, so you see from above that really is you and your drinking habit, but they always making excuses. So that's kind of how I feel that this Reflectionzzz, having all these journal entries, over like probably 80 journal entries of December writings, that have made me realize that I was the one that was insane. And I witnessed my own insanity, which ultimately led to me embracing my ultimate divinity.
So this is the photo album that I said I put together. So these are all of some of them are not December, just a few at the top, but most of these are December journal entries. And I had a lot of insight and data to comb through to come to the conclusion that I came to, which is really just the one that anyone wants to come to, which is appreciating themselves, loving themselves, giving credit to themselves, being easy on themselves in a way, not saying being hard is bad, but like focusing more on the acknowledgement than the reprimand. So that was the the album that I put together of just December journal entries. And last but not least, here's the Reflectionzzz project. So again, like I said, I want to make it like a mixtape. So, not to make like my girl does all of the design work for everything, and she's done an amazing job. But I asked her specifically to make this and keep this like old school, like, as if we was, back on the block selling mixtapes out of our trunk, because that's kind of really how my life was. It was, I was in business, but, so anyways, this project is to be released before the end of December 2022, because that is what my intuition is telling me. So that's what's gonna happen. The reason, or part of the reason, for this message being delivered within the last 2 weeks of December is because the message is resonant and aligns with the vibratory field on the earth right now. The people who are meant to hear this need to hear it now. The sooner they do, the sooner they can begin their work and begin down their journeys of being examples of the change we all so wish to see. Winter solstice, and the timing is also at the height that it's at all year. During the next 21-day period, the spirit realm is most receptive to the communication with the material realm. The veil is penetrable more so than at any other time. So this is divine timing. So we need to act now to ride on the momentum of the universal energies currently available and most receptive to being given direction for the future you wish to create. So this project is titled Reflectionzzz, was inspired by a guy I met last year when I moved to Newark. He was a neighbor living in the same apartment building I live in, one theater. We seen each other here and there, but whenever we did, we spoke as if we knew each other much longer than we did. I think we were just vibrationally aligned. Anyways, one day I saw him and his girlfriend in a coffee shop, and we got to talking about none other than journaling. He had a journaling habit as well, and as I shared my love for journaling, we just clicked. This was in like September 21, October, before I made even one video online and before I had written anything online in terms of my social blog. So I was a ghost and almost invisible on the internet. None of my story had yet been shared. And he said something to me that stuck with me in a deep way. He said, if you want to see God, just look backwards. Simple, yet full of truth. Actually, it is truth. I went home and immediately made a video titled, if you want to see God, look back. So this is how the storyline goes. So as you can see, these are numbered up top. So we have, reflection summary. I'm just gonna read this because it's important. This video series is numbered intentionally. The numbers aim to guide you through the journey most naturally to the way the journey was experienced. There are 13 videos in the series, and all of these videos were written in the month of December between the years of 2015 and 2021. There are well over 60 pages of reflections throughout these videos, and each year stacks upon the year before in terms of growth. So in order to really travel the journey, you can't skip the steps. Just like if you want to know the outcome of a movie, sometimes you have to sit through the whole movie. So that's what this is like. Please allow yourself the greatest chance to be inspired by starting with video 1 from 2015 and listen to the videos in order. By the time you get to the end, you should see the pattern and learn the lesson that I have learned. And this took 500 pages and 7 years to get to. Talk about a shortcut. So then, we have, where you'll see it is here. All right, so you'll see the link in my Instagram bio, which will bring you right here to the top of this page. All right, and then you scroll all the way down. There's an intro video to this creator's journey as well, but you scroll down to Reflectionzzz. If you want to see God, just look back, December 22. So if you think about it, you know how they say when you look backwards, you have, clear vision is 20/20 vision. So, I wouldn't say ironically because I don't use that word anymore, but when you recognize the synchronism or synchronicity, you realize that behind the message, the further message is that when you look forward, your clear sight's 20/20, but when you look backwards, your sight could be 20/22. So we'll leave it at that. Right on my Instagram page, you could just click this link. It'll bring you there. Scroll down and enjoy. I hope that you're inspired to none other than, if at minimum, if I could achieve nothing, I hope that you're inspired to begin documenting your journey and being intentional with your creation, with your life, because this is your creation. And one of the most profound teachings that you learn spiritually is this concept of a feedback loop. You know, this feedback loop that I mentioned that I was in, like, it's like this never-ending cycle of like cue, habit, repeat, cue, habit, repeat. Like, you know, when your phone rings, you're inclined to look at it and then pick it up or not. It's like habitual. So sometimes we have habits that are so ingrained that they become like that. So my bashing of myself and not acknowledging the growth every year became a habitual habit that I realized that obviously was not going to help me if I wanted to continue to grow. So yeah, you know, it's magical to see that in oneself. And if you were able to, or if you have the ability to really go back in your thoughts for 7-8 years, there are undoubtedly some patterns that you might come across that you, if given that information, could react upon and be proactive about. So yeah, that's what reflection is. And peace and bless yourself.